guys, welcome to the Beehive. If you're new to this channel, the Beehive is my sewing room, stitching room, a place to hide out from the anxiety and stress of the world, and I welcome you here. It has been beautiful out for the last few days. You know, that perfect 80s temperature where we would spend time every late afternoon out in our backyard. And now we are faced with wind. The wind is predicted to be strong enough that the power company has told certain communities, not where I live, but not far away, certain communities, they're turning the power grid off to decrease the risk for forest fire. Because as you've probably heard in the news the last few years, a lot of the horrific forest fires were started with down power lines. So my friend Audrey, who only lives a couple communities away, she got a notice that her power was going to be shut off for who knows how many hours, because of the wind gusts. And it is fairly windy out there. I can see the trees just going, wow, wow, what's heck going on? Yeah, so, but Jean, I've been pretty busy the last couple weeks, and now we're kind of trying to slow down a little bit. Today we get to celebrate my oldest son's birthday, and I'm looking forward to that. My baby is a middle-aged person. Yeah, so, but I can't wait to see him. And let's see, what else? Oh, I have a girlfriend flying in for a stitchy getaway, and originally I was going to just make it a total cross-stitch vacay. Just going to, I picked out all my projects for cross-stitch, and I designated them for this period of time while she was visiting, that this is what I was going to work on. But I started thinking, what if my brain needed a break from counting? And if it did, and I didn't have something to do, then everyone around me would suffer. Because I can do the big whine. I can. So I said, I better have a backup. And since I know that some of you here don't enjoy my floss tube stitch roadie, but I kind of have my life delineated in cross stitch and then quilting. And my quilting life includes not only the piecing of cotton fabrics, but it includes handwork too. And I know those of you that have been hanging around here a while, you know what I'm talking about. It's embroidery, sashiko, hexies, wool. I am pretty much a quilter's smorgasbord. So if you're new here, I don't want to frighten you, but if you don't want to be enabled, you might want to keep on turning the channel, because that is my superpower. I don't know why. I think I like company. I like company. So what I started thinking about was, what if while my girlfriend's here, I get tired of counting in cross stitch. I really should think about what project do I want to designate. And you know, many of you who are like monogamous about your projects, and that means when you get a project started, you delve into it, you accomplish it, and you have great satisfaction. That is not me, and many of you are like me, where you kind of see a shiny thing over there. look at that over there, and you run over there and start that. It is not a bad way to live at all. It's if you can not have that conversation with yourself where you're demeaning yourself for not getting things done, because eventually you will, or you'll lose interest in it totally and you'll just get rid of it because all of a sudden it's kind of like what's happened to me with this latest move. Is the last place we lived, that was a sweet spot for quilting. It was a sweet spot for quilting. And so I had a lot of projects started there that were started because it felt like my home. And now I'm in this new home, and so a project that totally felt like my last home doesn't feel like it now. Does that make sense? And so those projects don't interest me as much as they did. It's kind of weird, but I'm letting myself relax a little bit with that so I can see what happens. I have figured out that the quilt hanger that's in my entryway is a great place to rotate large wall hangings, and so I'm really about that 40 by 40 kind of size where I can change things out every month. But big quilts, they have to go on the back of a couch. I have one spot in my family room that fits a big quilt, hanging, that is. And part of that is I could take over my whole house with quilts. But the flip side of that is we are a family of creators. And so I want to display it all. And G and I have traveled extensively. And so we have brought home, memory pieces from all our travels. And I love to have those out because they, especially during the pandemic, it was a really wonderful way to dream about where I had been. And so I like to see those out. So it's just that, I probably would need a 10,000 square foot home to even begin to display everything that we love. Oh, but yeah, I would have to clean it because I'm not much of a housekeeper person. Yeah. I have to do the housekeeping. What I meant by that was I'm not as comfortable having a housekeeper. So I do the housekeeping. So what did I do? I bought myself a new vacuum. I finally decided the vacuum that I've been hauling around is just too darn heavy to be schlepping around. And so I went to Costco and I bought myself a new lightweight shark vacuum. And it's awesome. G loves it. Yeah, he was the last one that used it. So where was I? Oh yeah. So my girlfriend's flying in. And we're going to have a cross-stitchy time together. But I really wanted to make sure that I had at least one project that was not cross-stitched, so if I got tired. So the one I picked was a project that was from Primitive Gatherings, and it was the 2019 Heirloom Rose urban wool kit. And so this is it right here. I fell in love with it. I loved the colors were different, because it's like she tells me, sometimes you got to do something different. And so when I came home, I decided to go get a pedicure. You know, at the end of summer, you've got like garden feet. Do you know what I'm talking about? Garden feet. And so I decided to go get a pedicure, and there were like 1,000 different colors to pick from. But all I could hear in my brain was G saying, sometimes it's good to do something different. And so I picked a teal blue color for my toes. I love it. I love it. But that's what this quilt is about. And I have all the blocks prepped, but not all of them stitched. But here's some stitched ones. So this one is done. I love the color, the calm, the blue background. Here's another one, all done. I really love this. I really love this one. And then I have, let's see, those are 3 done blocks. And then I have all the rest of them prepped. And I have them together with the instructions. So they're all prepped. And what I mean by prepped, if you're new to this channel, is that I fuse my wool down onto the background. My traditional way of doing a lot of my wool projects is that, like this particular project, is the background is flannel and the motifs are wool. And the wool, as you can imagine, is much heavier or thicker than the flannel. The flannel's kind of floppy and it can get stretchy. So the way I do this is I back the flannel with SF 101, which is a Pellon product that I get at Joann's. And then I fuse with soft fuse. That's the only fusible I use, is soft fuse, to fuse the motifs onto the background of the flannel so that they're all ready to stitch. And I steam from both sides so I never have pieces fall off. And these blocks have been prepped, well, probably since 2020. You know, they're all prepped. These blocks are all prepped. And so I think I'm going to take that. So when I need a no-brainer break, you know, like I don't want to count anymore with my cross stitching, I can take this project out. It would be lovely if I were to, by the end of the year, finish this project. I'd have an empty project box. Wouldn't that be fabulous? What else? Oh, I finished my pillowcase for the month. If you're new here, I kind of told myself that I wanted to do a pillowcase, one pillowcase every month this year, so that by the time Christmas came, I would have pillowcases to give to all the kids in my life. So and you know, a pillowcase takes me about not even 30 minutes to make. What takes the longest actually is trying to decide on the fabric. But once I decide on the fabric, the actual construction of the pillowcase, piece of cake. 30 minutes and I have a gift ready, so that by December I'm not like, oh gosh, I gotta make all these pillowcases. And I'm going to do that every year, because this has been a very, how do you say it, when I make that pillowcase, for that moment in time, I feel in control of my world. It's kind of an odd thing, but maybe some of you understand. It's like, oh, there's one less thing to be pressured about or something. I don't know exactly, but so I picked the fabric out thinking of my middle grandson who is all about the dinosaurs. And so this fabric is just a hoot. You know, it's got dinosaurs with Christmas hats and poinsettias, and ode to our Asian background, I have some Asian fabric as the trim, and then navy blue, and I've got September's pillowcase done. It is really, and you can start now and you'd have 4 pillowcases ready by December if you just did one a month. And then next year I'm going to do the same thing. I also finished tacking the binding down on the quilt that I'm gifting to a friend, and put the label on. Got it all ready. So feeling kind of smug. Yeah. I'm going to take a few more stitches here. It's just like stitching through butter, this flannel. This flannel is so soft. I can't even remember who makes this flannel, but it sure was cute with these dinosaurs on it. I started reading a new book, or listening to a new book. It's been my sewing and traveling book. And I think I would suggest that you listen to it rather than read it. Although maybe it doesn't matter to you. But I didn't realize it, and it wasn't recommended to me. It was just something that kind of came up. I don't know if it came up on my library feed or I just saw a review of it or what, but it's called The Good Sister. I think it's by like Sally Hensworth, not sure. But it's called The Good Sister, and she is an Australian author. And so the narrator of the book has an Australian accent, which is, yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely. And so far, it's kind of a mystery about some twin sisters. I'm intrigued by it. I have to say I'm intrigued by it. I hope it ends good. But it's called The Good Sister. So that's the book I'm reading now. I spent all morning watching the news about the Queen. And I feel so sad about it on a variety of different levels. I'm not sure I can pinpoint all of them on the sadness I feel, but I mean, she lived a long life, and I mean, I think it was 26 when she became queen, dedicating her life to service. So I've tried to think, why am I sad? I really, it's a different country and all of that, but she's like a symbol of an era, where it's like kindness and civility. It's a whole bunch. I can't even pinpoint it all, but even though she's 96 and she lived a full life, I still feel a loss. I still feel a loss. And so I spent all morning while I was cross-stitching, watching the news, and, you know, because I don't know about you, but I watched, you know, those shows, The Crown, and, you know, all of that. I was totally, totally enamored of everything. So, yeah, it's it's a loss. It's a loss, not only for the country, but in a way for the world, because she was a symbol of times gone by too. You know, how many prime ministers and presidents, and she's like this constant. You know, there's a certain security about it, I guess. I can't even quite pinpoint my emotion around it, but maybe some of you are feeling the same way. You know, yeah. So I was watching that, and then yesterday was I noticed that I kept getting these advertisements that it was Disney Plus Day, and I guess that meant you for a day you got to watch Disney Plus, which is a subscription channel, for free. So I took advantage of that last night, and I'm not much of a superhero movie fan. Like I the Marvel comic book things, the only ones I ever watched were Iron Man. But I really never watched Spider-Man or Superman or Thor or any of those, and so I was kind of looking through what I might want to take advantage of and see. And so I settled on Pinocchio. Pinocchio with Tom Hanks. And I had forgotten how detailed that story was. I had totally forgotten. I knew it was a children's story, kind of like a fairy tale, and I want to be a real boy, but I had forgotten truly the how detailed of a story it was, and so it was quite enthralling. You know, it was quite, and they did such a good job with it. So I watched Pinocchio. So I don't know about you, but when I feel that change, you know, like it's getting dark earlier, and I watch the moon comes across. When I'm sitting in my chair in my bedroom, I can see the moon moving across, and it gets dark so early, and it makes me start thinking about I have to keep myself busy in the wintertime when it's dark, and you know, so I started thinking about quilt projects that I would love to possibly start. So I got the pile of fabric from Fat Quarter Shop, and I'm going to pick out a table runner pattern to do that, or maybe a big tablecloth type pattern for my stitchy table here in the beehive, and do something like that. And then I bought the kit last year, I believe it was, for the French General swoon blocks, and I've never made a swoon block, and I so I thought, that wouldn't that be a fun winter project? You know, it's a beautiful What's Not to Love About French General, and it's a kit that I bought, so I better make it, you know. Yeah, so I thought, well, I'll have to do that. Now my quilt, that the boho heart quilt is back from my quilter, but a friend's bringing it over, so I'll show you that next time. I bet you the quilting's gorgeous on that. Other than that, I have been fairly consistent in stitching, but not making a huge amount of progress because I mean, it's the gal who did my pedicure, you know, the place that I go, there's a communication challenge, but I totally understood her when she said my feet were a disaster. And I told her, they're gardening feet. And she laughed. She knew what I was saying. They're gardening feet. They're the end of summer feet. So, now that the gardening is slowly being put to bed here, I planted something yesterday. I just can't give up. But, yeah, I'm getting that. How about you? Are you getting that kind of itchy, oh, stitchy bug going? I sure am. I sure am. Well, I guess we'll call it a day. I'll be busy this next week, so it'll probably be a little bit longer before the next time we meet, but I hope you have some fun. Oh, and I wanted to show you one more thing. Oh, hold on. I had to interrupt because I made something and I wanted to show you because I'm so pleased with myself. So I took a wool ball, which I had ordered these on the internet. It doesn't say where they're from, but they're just felted wool balls. And then I used my tool, and this is for like punch needle, no, not punch needle, felting. It's for felting, and it's this tool. And then I get wool. This pack come with several different colors, but I also buy the white. And then I wrap the wool ball with this, and you want to do this type of craft when you're angry about something or frustrated, because you take this little sharp thing and you're just punching away at it. And what that does is it makes this stuff adhere to the ball. And then I got this cute little water can, and I made an adorable pin cushion. Is that, see, I lined the inside of the can with glue, and then I made the ball bigger than the opening so I could shove it down in there. So this particular craft is all about releasing the inner beast. And then I made this adorable pin cushion. Isn't it sweet? So remember, if you want to get some aggression out, this is the tool that you need by Clover. It's quite sharp, so you gotta be careful you don't hurt yourself. Yeah. Well, that's it now. That's the end. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the week, and when we get back together again, maybe I'll have another wool block done for my urban quilt from Primitive Gatherings. Love you guys. You take care. See ya down the line.